Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. And we've reached a very sweet section of the Srimad-Bhagavatam in which the personal pastimes, the personal lila, you know, when a little child, before they're 5 years old, before they have to go to school, none of us wanted to go to school, but we did anyway because we had to. But then anyway, we got used to it and then we liked it. But when a little child is like 3, 4, 5, they do what they want to do, basically, during the day. I mean, they have toys and they play. They don't really have to do anything. They don't have something that they have to do, but they do want to do things, and they do. They play with their friends, and okay, you be the cops and I be the robbers, or I'm this and I'm that, and you're this and you're that, and like that they play. That's called lila. That means by their own will they're doing what they want to do. So Krishna's pastimes are like that. Everything that he does is lila. So when we hear these things, it's very nice. Is it 10:10:23?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a prayer that was written by one of the great spiritual authorities in our line of spiritual authority, named Sanatana Goswami, and he wrote this prayer glorifying this work that we're going to read from. And it was written in Sanskrit, so we'll chant the Sanskrit because Sanskrit's a very pure language, and to hear it is very pleasing to the heart and the ear. And then we will hear the translation, and if we concentrate on trying to understand the translation, it helps us to go into this literature more deeply. It's called Srimad-Bhagavata Mahima Stotram, and it goes like this. Sarva Shastabdi Priyusha Sarva Vedhaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad-Bhagavata Prabho Kalidwandoditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master, Srimad-Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshadayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguru Man Mahadana Mannisthadaka Madbhagya Madananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Sadhu sadhu tadayin atini chochata kada hanamuncha kadachin mam premna rit kantayospuda. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Petronella? What is it? Petronella. We have the mother of Honest John. Your son, believe it or not, he's famous all over the world because we have about 1,700 people out there watching. If not live, at least at some point or another they catch up. And they all know him as Honest John. So you'll be happy to know that Petronella, Honest John's mother, is here for the first time. We'll give a little hand for Petronella. Welcome. All right, we've reached the 10th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. And Krishna is delivering the sons of Kuvera. And now we're going to hear why. Text 10, Canto 10, beginning with 23. Shukadeva Goswami continued, having thus spoken, he's spoken to the sons of Kuvera because they were very degraded. They were always getting drunk and running around naked with women. And Narada Muni is a great saintly person. So generally speaking, if a saintly person is around, even if a person's a little degraded, they tend to be a little bit respectful. When our spiritual master, the founder of our movement, came to America for the first time in 1965 at the age of 70, he was living in the what do they call this?
Bowery.
The Bowery. He lived in a loft on the Bowery, and it was so degraded that there were derelicts, like laying literally on the ground, that he had to step over to get into his door to go up. This is how he started, with nothing. And after just a short time, these derelicts, who were all drunk out of their minds, they saw him coming and they would say to the others, Swami is coming, and they would either step out of the way or they'd roll over, make a pathway for him to get through, because they gave him some respect, because he was special, really special. So Narada Muni is the person who's has spoken to the Kumaras, and he's given them a little lesson. Shukadeva Goswami continued, having thus spoken, the great saint Devarshi Narada returned to his ashram, known as Narayana Ashram, and Nalakuvara and Manigriva became twin Arjun trees. Purport. Arjun trees are still found in many forests, and their skin is used by cardiologists to prepare medicine for heart trouble. This means that even though they are trees, they are disturbed when skinned for medical science. Text 24. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, to fulfill the truthfulness of the words of his greatest devotee, Narada, slowly went to that spot where the twin Arjun trees were standing. Now when it says slowly went to that spot, it means that he was a little baby, and he was a small child, and he was tied up to a grinding mortar by a rope. So when it said he slowly went to that spot, he was pulling this grinding mortar along with him. Text 25. Although these two young men are the sons of the very rich Kubera, and I have nothing to do with them, Devarsi Narada is my very dear and affectionate devotee, and therefore, because he wanted me to come face to face with them, I must do so for their deliverance. Purport. Nalakuvara and Manigriva actually had nothing to do with devotional service or seeing the personality of Godhead face to face, for this is not an ordinary opportunity. It is not that because one is very rich or learned or was born in an aristocratic family, one will be able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. This is impossible. But in this case, because Narada Muni desired that Nalakuvara and Manigriva see Vasudeva face to face, the Supreme Personality of Godhead wanted to fulfill the words of his very dear devotee, Narada Muni. If one seeks the favor of a devotee, instead of directly asking favors from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is very easily successful. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is therefore recommended Vaishnavara Thakura Tomara Kukura Baliya Janaha More. Krishna said, Tumara Krishna Dite Para. One should desire to become like a dog and strictly following a devotee. Dog means loyal. That's the good quality of dogs, is they're very loyal. Krishna is in the hand of a devotee, a durlabham, Atma Bhaktao. Thus, without the favor of a devotee, one cannot directly approach Krishna. What to speak of engaging in his service? Narottam Das Thakur therefore sings, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nishtara Paye Chikeba. Unless one becomes a servant of a pure devotee, one cannot be delivered from the material condition of life. In our Gaudiya Vaishnava society, following in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami, our first business is to seek shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, Adau, Guruvashraya. 26. Having thus spoken, Krishna soon entered between the two Arjuna trees, and thus the big mortar to which he was bound turned crosswise and stuck between them. Text 27. By dragging behind him with great force the wooden mortar tied to his belly, the boy Krishna uprooted the two trees. By the great strength of the Supreme Person, the two trees with their trunks, leaves, and branches trembled severely and fell to the ground with a great crash. Purport. This is the pastime of Krishna known as Damodar Lila. Therefore, another of Krishna's names is Damodar. As stated in the Harivangsha, Vishnu Parva 736, Sachat Tenaiva Namna Tu Krishno Vai Dhamma Bandhanat Goshte Damodara Iti Gopibi Parigiyate. 28. Thereafter, in that very place where the two Arjuna trees had fallen, two great perfect personalities who appeared like fire personified came out of the two trees, the effulgence of their beauty illuminating all directions. With bowed heads, they offered obeisances to Krishna, and with hands folded, they spoke the following words. 29. O Lord Krishna, your opulent mysticism is inconceivable. You are the supreme, original person, the cause of all causes, immediate and remote, and you are beyond this material creation. Learned Brahmanas know on the basis of the Vedic statement Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, that you are everything, and that this cosmic manifestation, in its gross and subtle aspects, is your form. Purport. The two demigods, Nalakuvara and Manigriva, because of their continuing memory, could understand the supremacy of Krishna by the grace of Narada. Now they admitted that we should be delivered by the blessings of Narada Muni was all your plan. Therefore, you are the supreme mystic. Everything, past, present, and future, is known to you. Your plan was made so nicely that although we stayed here as twin Arjuna trees, you have appeared as a small boy to deliver us. This was all your inconceivable arrangement. Because you are the Supreme Person, you can do everything. Text 30 and 31. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the controller of everything. The body, life, ego, and senses of every living entity are your own self. You are the Supreme Person, Vishnu, the imperishable controller. You are the time factor, the immediate cause, and you are the material material nature, consisting of the three modes: goodness, passion, goodness, and ignorance. You are the original cause of this material manifestation. You are the super soul, and therefore you know everything within the core of the heart of every living entity. Purport. Sripad Madhvacharya has quoted from the Vamana Purana as follows. Rupat Bhat Tu Jagat Rupam Vishnu Sakshat Kutatmakam Nityapurnam Samudashtam Sarupam Paramatmanaha. That's what the purport says. Translation of the purport. Text 32. O Lord, you exist before the creation. Therefore, who, trapped by a body of material qualities in this material world, can understand you? Purport. As it is said, Atak Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhaved Grayam Indriyahi Sevan Mukhe Jivado Sevan Swayameva Spurat Yadaha. Krishna's name, attributes, and form are absolute truth, existing before the creation. Therefore, how can those who are created, that is, those entrapped in bodies created of material elements, understand Krishna perfectly? This is not possible. But Sevan Mukhi Jivado Swayam Eva Spurat Yadaha. Krishna reveals himself to those engaged in devotional service. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 1855 by the Lord himself, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. Even the descriptions of Krishna in Srimad-Bhagavatam are sometimes misunderstood by less intelligent men with a poor fund of knowledge. Therefore, the best course by which to know him is to engage oneself in pure devotional activities. The more one advances in devotional activities, the more one can understand him as he is. It is from the material platform one can understand, if from the material platform one can understand Krishna, then, since Krishna is everything, Sarva Kalvadam Idam, the Brahma, one can understand Krishna by seeing anything within this material world. But that is not possible. Maya tadamidang sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matstani sarvabhutani nachaham te shavastitaha. Everything is resting on Krishna, and everything is Krishna, but this is not to be realized by persons on the material platform. Text 33. O Lord, whose glories are covered by your own energy, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are Sankarshan, the origin of creation, and you are Vasudeva, the origin of the Chaturvyuha. Because you are everything, and are therefore the Supreme Brahman, we simply offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. Instead of trying to understand Krishna in detail, it is better to offer our respectful obeisances unto him, for he is the origin of everything, and he is everything. Because we are covered by the material modes of nature, he is very difficult for us to understand, unless he reveals himself to us. Therefore, it is better for us to acknowledge that he is everything, and offer obeisances unto his lotus feet. Text 34 and 35. Appearing in bodies like those of an ordinary fish, tortoise, and hog, you exhibit activities impossible for such creatures to perform. Extraordinary, incomparable, transcendental activities of unlimited power and strength. These bodies of yours, therefore, are not made of material elements, but are incarnations of your Supreme Personality. You are the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, who have now appeared with full potency for the benefit of all living entities within this material world. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 4, 7, and 8, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijam yaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam dharma sangstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Krishna appears as an incarnation when real spiritual life declines, and when rogues and thieves increase to disturb the situation of the world. Unfortunate, less intelligent persons, bereft of devotional service, cannot understand the Lord's activities, and therefore such persons describe these activities as kalpana, mythology, or imagination, because they are rascals and the lowest of men. Namam duskridino mudha prapadyante naradamaha. Such men cannot understand that the events described by Vyasadeva in the Puranas and other Shastras are not fictitious or imaginary, but factual. Krishna, in his full, unlimited potency, here shows that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For although the two trees were so large and sturdy that even many elephants could not move them, Krishna, as a child, exhibited such extraordinary strength that they fell down with a great sound. From the very beginning, by killing Putana, Chakatasura, and Trinavatasura, by causing the trees to fall, and by showing the entire universe within his mouth, Krishna proved that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The lowest of men, mudhas, because of sinful activities, cannot understand this, but devotees can accept it without a doubt. This is the position of a devotee. Thus, the position of a devotee is different from that of a non-devotee. Text 36. O supremely auspicious, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you, who are the supreme good. O most famous descendant and controller of the Yadu dynasty, O son of Vasudeva, O most peaceful, let us offer our obeisances unto your lotus feet. Purport. The word Parama Kalyana is significant because Krishna, in any of his incarnations, appears in order to protect the sadhus, Paritranaya sadhunam. The sadhus, saintly persons or devotees, are always harassed by non-devotees, and Krishna appears in his incarnations to give them relief. This is his first concern. If we study the history of Krishna's life, we shall find that for most of his life, he predominantly engaged in killing demons one after another. Text 37. O Supreme Form, we are always servants of your servants, especially of Narada Muni. Now give us permission to leave for our home. It is by the grace and mercy of Narada Muni that we have been able to see you face to face. Purport. Unless delivered or blessed by a devotee, one cannot realize that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Manushanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye. According to this verse of Bhagavad Gita 7.3, there are so many siddhas or yogis who cannot understand Krishna. Instead, they misunderstand him. But if one takes shelter of a devotee descending from the parampara system of Narada, Swayambhur Naradak Shambhu, one can then understand who is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this age, many pseudo-incarnations are advertised simply for having exhibited some magical performances. But except for persons who are servants of Narada and other servants of Krishna, no one can understand who is God and who is not. This is confirmed by Narottam Das Thakur. Chadiya Vaishnava Seva, Nishtara Paye Chekeba. No one is delivered from the material conception of life unless favored by a Vaishnava. Others can never understand, neither by speculation nor by any other bodily or mental gymnastics. Text 38. Henceforward, may all our words describe your pastimes. May our ears engage in oral reception of your glories. May our hands and legs and other senses engage in actions pleasing to you. And may our minds always think of your lotus feet. May our heads offer our obeisances to everything within this world, because all things are also your different forms, and may our eyes see the forms of Vaishnavas who are non-different from you. Purport. Here the process of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead is given. This process is bhakti. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smarnam Padasevanam Archanam Bandhanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. Everything should be engaged in the service of the Lord. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchite. Narda Pancharatra. Everything, the mind, the body, and all the sense organs, should be engaged in Krishna's service. This is to be learned from expert devotees like Narada, Swayambhu, and Shambhu. This is the process. We cannot manufacture our own way of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for it is not that everything one manufactures or concocts will lead to understanding God. Such a proposition, yatamat tatapat, is foolish. Krishna says, Bhaktyaham ekayagraya. Only by executing the activities of bhakti can one understand me. Bhagavatam 11:14-21. This is called anukulyena krishnanu shilanam, remaining fixed, engaged favorably in the service of the Lord. Text 39. Shukadev Goswami continued, the two young demigods thus offered prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although by the ropes of the gopis, and therefore, smiling widely, he spoke to the sons of Kuvera the following words. Purport. Krishna was smiling because he was thinking to himself, these two young demigods fell from the higher planetary systems to this planet, and I have delivered them from the bondage of standing for a long time as trees. But as for me, I am bound by the ropes of the gopis and am subject to their chastisements. In other words, Krishna submits to being chastised and bound by the gopis because of pure love and affection worthy of being praised by a devotee in so many ways. Text 40. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the great Saint Narada Muni is very merciful. By his curse, he showed the greatest favor to both of you, who were mad after material opulence, and who had thus become blind. Although you fell from the higher planet, Swargaloka, and became trees, you were most favored by him. I knew of all these incidents from the very beginning. Purport. It is now confirmed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead that the curse of a devotee is also to be regarded as mercy. As Krishna, God is all good, and Vaishnava, as Krishna, God is all good, a Vaishnava is also all good. Whatever he does is good for everyone. This is explained in the following verse. 41. When one is face to face with the sun, there is no longer darkness for one's eyes. Similarly, when one is face to face with a sadhu, a devotee, who is fully determined and surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one will be no longer subject to material bondage. Purport. As stated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Madhya Lila 22:54, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi, Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. If by chance one meets a sadhu, a devotee, one's life is immediately successful, and one is freed from material bondage. It may be argued that whereas someone may receive a sadhu with great respect, someone else may not perceive a sadhu with such respect. A sadhu, however, is always equipoised toward everyone. Because of being a pure devotee, A sadhu was always ready to deliver Krishna consciousness without discrimination. As soon as one sees a sadhu, one naturally becomes free. Nonetheless, persons who are too much offensive, who commit Vaishnava aparadhas or offenses to a sadhu, will have to take some time before being rectified. This is also indicated herein. Text 42. O Nalakuvara and Manigriva, you may now both return home. Since you desire to be always absorbed in my devotional service, your desire to develop love and affection for me will be fulfilled, and now you will never fall from that platform. Purport. The highest perfection of life is to come to the platform of devotional service and always engage in devotional activities. Understanding this, Nalakuvara and Manigriva desired to attain that platform, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead blessed them with the fulfillment of their transcendental desire. Text 43. Shukadeva Goswami said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, having spoken to the two demigods in this way, they circumambulated the Lord, who was bound to the wooden mortar, and offered obeisances to him. After taking the permission of Lord Krishna, they returned to their respective homes. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 10th canto, 10th chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled Deliverance of the Yamala-arjuna tree. This is like a big drama. It's the history of the universe, actually. It's a big deal. 18,000 verses. Yeah. And so each chapter is like what is it called? An act of this drama. So therefore we clap at the end of each act. Okay. We have some more minutes left. We'll go on to chapter 11. The childhood pastimes of Lord Krishna. This chapter describes how the inhabitants of Gokula left Gokula and went to Vrindavan, and how Krishna killed Bhattasura and Bakasura. When the Yamala-arjuna trees fell, they made a tremendous sound, like that of falling thunderbolts. Being surprised, Krishna's father, Nanda, and the other elderly inhabitants of Gokula went to the spot where they saw the fallen trees and Krishna standing between them, bound to the ulukala, the wooden mortar. They could find no cause for the trees having fallen and Krishna's being there. They thought this might be the work of some other asura who had met Krishna on this spot, and they inquired from the playmates of Krishna about how the whole incident had taken place. The children properly described how everything had happened, but the elderly persons could not believe the story from the mouths of babes. Some of them, however, thought that it might be true, since they had already seen many wonderful incidents in connection with Krishna. Anyway, Nanda Maharaj immediately released Krishna from the ropes. In this way, Krishna at every day and every moment displayed wonderful incidents to increase the parental affection of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, who thus felt both surprise and joy. The breaking of the Yamala-arjunas was one of these wonderful pastimes. One day a fruit vendor approached Nanda Maharaj's house, and Krishna gathered some food grains with his little palms and went to the vendor to exchange the grains for fruit. On the way, almost all the grains fell from his palms, leaving only 1 or 2 grains remaining. But the fruit vendor, out of full affection, accepted these grains in exchange for as much fruit as Krishna could take. As soon as she did this, her basket became filled with gold and jewels. Thereafter, all the elderly gopis decided to leave Gokula because they saw that in Gokula there was always some disturbance. They decided to go to Vrindavan, Brajadam, and the next day they all departed. In Vrindavan, both Krishna and Balaram, after finishing their childhood pastimes, began to take charge of the calves and send them to the pasturing grounds, Gocharana. During this time, a demon named Vatsasura entered among the calves and was killed, and another asura, in the shape of a big duck, was also killed. The playmates of Krishna narrated all these stories to their mothers. Their mothers could not believe their children, Krishna's playmates, but because of full affection, they enjoyed these narrations of Krishna's activities. Text 1. Shukadeva Goswami continued, O Maharaj Parikshit, when the Yamala-arjuna trees fell, all the cowherd men in the neighborhood, hearing the fierce sound and fearing thunderbolts, went to the spot. Text 2. There they saw the fallen Yamala-arjuna trees on the ground, but they were bewildered because even though they could directly perceive that the trees had fallen, they could not trace out the cause for their having done so. Purport. Considering all the circumstances, had this been done by Krishna? He was standing on the spot, and his playmates described that this had been done by him. Had Krishna actually done this? Or were these merely stories? This was a cause of bewilderment. Text 3. Krishna was bound by the rope to the ulukala, the mortar, which he was dragging. But how could he have pulled down the trees? Who had actually done it? Where was the source for this incident? Considering all these astounding things, the cowherd men were doubtful and bewildered. Purport. The cowherd men were very much agitated because the child Krishna, after all, had been standing between the two trees, and if by chance the trees had fallen upon him, he would have been smashed. But he was standing as he was, and still the things had happened. So who had done all this? How could these events have happened in such a wonderful way? These considerations were some of the reasons they were agitated and bewildered. They thought, however, that by chance Krishna had been saved by God so that nothing had happened to him. Text 4. Then all the cowherd boys said, "It is Krishna who has done this." When he was in between the two trees, the mortar fell crosswise. Krishna dragged the mortar, and the two trees fell down. After that, two beautiful men came out of the trees. We have seen this with our own eyes. Purport. Krishna's playmates wanted to inform Krishna's father of the exact situation by explaining that not only did the trees break, but out of the broken trees came two beautiful men. All these things happened, they said. We have seen them with our own eyes. Text 5. Because of intense paternal affection, the cowherd men, headed by Nanda, could not believe that Krishna could have uprooted the trees in such a wonderful way. Therefore, they could not put their faith in the words of the boys. Some of the men, however, were in doubt. Since Krishna was predicted to equal Narayana, they thought, it might be that he could have done it. Purport. One view was that it was impossible for a small boy like this to have done such a thing as pulling down the trees. But there were doubts, because Krishna had been predicted to equal Narayana. Therefore the cowherd men were in a dilemma. 6. When Nanda Maharaj saw his own son bound with ropes to the wooden mortar and dragging it, he smiled and released Krishna from his bonds. Purport. Nanda Maharaj was surprised that Yashoda, Krishna's mother, could have bound her beloved child in such a way. Krishna was exchanging love with her. How then could she have been so cruel as to bind him to the wooden mortar? One of our acharyas told the story that in another Purana it describes that when Nanda Maharaj ran up to Krishna, he says, "Who has done this? Who has done this?" He said, "My mother did it. She tied me up." And then Nanda Maharaj got all upset with Mother Yashoda. This is love. This is love. Nanda Maharaj understood this exchange of love, and therefore he smiled and released Krishna. In other words, as Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, binds a living entity in fruitive activities, he binds Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj in parental affection. This is his pastime. Text 7. The gopis would say, "If you dance, my dear Krishna, then I shall give you half a sweetmeat." By saying these words or by clapping their hands, all the gopis encouraged Krishna in different ways. At such times, although he was the supremely powerful personality of Godhead, he would smile and dance according to their desire, as if he were a wooden doll in their hands. Sometimes he would sing very loudly at their bidding. In this way, Krishna came completely under the control of the gopis. Text 8. Sometimes Mother Yashoda and her gopi friends would tell Krishna, "Bring this article," or "Bring that article." Sometimes they would order him to bring a wooden plank, wooden shoes, or a wooden measuring pot, and Krishna, when thus ordered by the mothers, would try to bring them. Sometimes, however, as if unable to raise these things, he would touch them and stand there, just to invite the pleasure of his relatives. He would strike his body with his arms to show that he had sufficient strength. Text 9. To pure devotees throughout the world who could understand his activities, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, exhibited how much he can be subdued by his devotees, his servants. In this way, he increased the pleasure of the Brajavasis by his childhood activities. Purport. That Krishna performed childhood activities to increase the pleasure of his devotees was another transcendental humor. He exhibited these activities not only to the inhabitants of Brajabhumi, but also to others who were captivated by his external potency and opulence. Both the internal devotees, who were simply absorbed in love of Krishna, and the external devotees, who were captivated by his unlimited potency, were informed of Krishna's desire to be submissive to his servants. Text 10. Once a woman selling fruit was calling, "O inhabitants of Brajabhumi, if you want to purchase some fruits, come here." Upon hearing this, Krishna immediately took some grains and went to barter as if he needed some fruits. Even today in India, in Delhi, even in the big cities, they have little enclaves where there's a gated kind of thing, and there's different buildings and houses and people. And in the morning time, you can hear this, and they have these carts, and they go around all the streets, and they call it the people out to get their fruits or their whatever it is that they need. They don't need Amazon. Of course, they've got it now, but they don't really need it because the merchants come right to their houses with what they need. So this is going on there. Purport. Aborigines generally go to the villagers to sell fruits. How much the Aborigines were attached to Krishna is here described. Krishna, to show his favor to the Aborigines, would immediately go to purchase fruits, bartering with paddy in his hand, as he had seen others do. Text 11. While Krishna was going to the fruit vendor very hastily, most of the grains he was holding fell. Nonetheless, the fruit vendor filled Krishna's hands with fruits, and her fruit basket was immediately filled with jewels and gold. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 9:26, Krishna says, Patram pushpam palam toyam yomi bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktuparitam ashnami prayatatmanaha. Krishna is so kind that if anyone offers him a leaf, a fruit, a flower, or some water, he will immediately accept it. The only condition is that these things should be offered with bhakti, yome bhaktya prayachati. Otherwise, if one is puffed up with false prestige, thinking, I have so much opulence, and I am giving something to Krishna, one's offering will not be accepted by Krishna. The fruit vendor, although a woman belonging to the poor Aboriginal class, dealt with Krishna with great affection, saying, Krishna, you have come to me to take some fruit in exchange for grains. All the grains have fallen, but still you may take whatever you like. Thus she filled Krishna's palms with whatever fruits he could carry. In exchange, Krishna filled her whole basket with jewels and gold. From this incident, one should learn that for anything offered to Krishna with love and affection, Krishna can reciprocate many millions of times over, both materially and spiritually. The basic principle involved is an exchange of love. Therefore, Krishna teaches in Bhagavad Gita 9:27, Yat karoshi, yat ishnasi, yat jahosi didasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat karushva madarpanam. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering unto me. With love and affection, one should try to give something to Krishna from one's source of income. Then one's life will be successful. Krishna is full in all opulences. He does not need anything from anyone. But if one is prepared to give something to Krishna, that is for one's own benefit. But if the example given in this connection is that when one's real face is decorated, the reflection of one's face is automatically decorated. Similarly, if we try to serve Krishna with all our opulences, we as parts and parcels or reflections of Krishna will become happy in exchange. Krishna is always happy, for he is Atma Rama, fully satisfied with his own opulence. Hare Krishna. So we'll end our reading tonight with that. Hare Krishna. Now we come to our open mic time, where we hear reflections or further discussion in what we've heard, or questions if we have them. So please feel free, everyone. Okay, Honest John, go ahead. You can do it. You can do it. I can see it coming. I can hear. I can feel it coming.
Somebody's got a kickstart.
That's right. There you go. You got it.
Just a comment on this one verse that I guess everybody knows it, but it's nice. Krishna is so kind that if anyone offers him a leaf, a fruit, a flower, or some water, he will immediately accept it. The only condition that these things should be offered with bhakti. I like that verse. That would that's kind of like what got me started going to the temple and stuff like that. Just going to the deity and offering them the flower. You know, that's what started it. So anyway, I thought that was just a nice comment or purport.
What's the essence? What's the essence of what's offered?
The love, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. If one offers something Christian, very opulent, but there's no love in it, he won't accept it. But if we offer the simplest thing, with actual affection, love, then he accepts the love and he returns, like we just read. The fruit vendor got the basket full of gold and jewels as a return for the love she gave Krishna.
Your turn, Marcus.
Where's Pranahari? He always has the gems coming. All right. So this is the essence of devotional service. And the essence of devotional service is explained throughout the Srimad-Bhagavatam. And just by hearing it, and then by learning to follow in the footsteps of those who actually have pure love for Krishna, even if we're imitative. Of course, imitative devotional service won't get the full benefit, but just by doing anything for Krishna, he's very pleased. There's a concept that people have about God, that he's some big, bearded person in the sky who's looking down and waiting to watch me to make a mistake so he can cast a thunderbolt or whatever. But actually, he's not like that. If you become very, very nonsense, then he'll give you some sauce, like he turned the two demigods into trees. But generally, he's easy to please. He's loving and easy to please, and this is the secret of understanding Krishna. Do you want to say something? We've been waiting for you to give your yeah. Yeah. No one had any reflections except for Honest John. That's he showing off to his mother. Yes, Bhakti-Dag.
I could say just one thing that I really liked in the previous chapter that was talking about the deliverance of Nalakuvara and Manigriva. In text 25 of the purport, it says that one should desire to become like a dog in strictly following a devotee. And then the next sentence was, Krishna is in the hand of a devotee. And then we actually got in the next chapter, we got actually a description of how he's actually in the hand of the devotees.
Yes.
Especially seeing how just the gopis, how they were just having him sing and dance for them because that's what they desired, and he was happy to perform just because of their love.
Yes, exactly. Fear personified is afraid of Krishna, but Krishna is afraid of Mother Yashoda's stick because of her pure love.
So by being near all these pure devotees, of course, we'll eventually get that taste too and that understanding.
By hearing I just heard Gopi Prandan Prabhu talk on the verse Srinvatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana. Punya Shravana Kirtana. This is kirtan, to hear the pastimes of Krishna in the company of other devotees who actually believe in Krishna or actually have a taste and want to know more about Krishna and have simple hearts. There was a verse in the Bible that says, let those who have ears hear. And there's another verse that from the mouths of babes, and you have to become as a little child to enter the kingdom of God. This means innocent, means purity, means with genuine affection, without asking or thinking of getting something in return for what you do. Just like I always use the example, I heard it from Prabhupada, that when a little child 3 years old, 2 years old, 3 years old, comes to you like a guest. You come in and a little child comes in to give you something. Could be anything, a little leaf or a little marble or anything that they were playing with or something. As soon as they give it to you with their full affection, and you can see there's nothing there but pure affection, nothing else there, it just opens your heart. So like that, if we hear together about Krishna's pastimes, gradually, just the hearing itself makes us pious. And as we become pious, our hearts open, and then we can actually hear. And the deeper we can hear, the more our hearts become pure, and the more we can actually taste and feel the effect of hearing about Krishna in the association of devotees. This is kirtana. That and congregational chanting of the holy name, these two things together, will open our hearts and give us a taste and provide us a safe haven, a safe place. I was talking to Honest John's mother before we started, how the world has become such a place that there's no safe place. You can't feel safe anywhere. The children are complaining to the politicians now. We don't know whether we're going to come home when we go to school. There's so many mass shootings now. It's crazy. And they refuse to do anything about it because they're in the pockets of the NRA and all the people who are making money from the sales of guns. It's crazy. Crazy with a capital C. So the only thing that's actually powerful enough to contradict this, or to actually, crash through this, the thickness of ignorance that's there, and evil and anger and all these things, is the innocent hearing of Krishna's glories and pastimes, and especially the pastimes, the childhood pastimes. Krishna's never a child. He's on the lap of his mother, barely a month old, and a big demon, Putana, came to kill him because Kamsa had heard that Krishna was going to kill him because he was the eighth. It was predicted by a voice in the sky that the eighth son of Devaki would kill him. And Krishna, of course, tricked Kamsa and went to Vrindavan with Nanda Maharaj. And so anyway, when Kamsa actually found out from Narada Muni what had happened, and that Krishna was actually somewhere, in the area, then he decided with his ministers to kill all the babies, in that area that had been born in a certain time. Such demoniac persons, And so she came, and she was not an ordinary person. She was a great mystic yogini. She could change her shape if she wanted. She was very powerful mystically. And she came and gave Krishna her breast. And Krishna said, "Oh yeah?" And took her milk and took her life at the same time, right from her breast. So this is God. It's not that God has to grow up and do austerities and be religious in order to become God. God is God all the time. Yes. Jorge.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
I guess we just wanted to kind of reflect a little bit of what Honest John was saying a little bit also, because we're
Say
kind of
that last part.
what Honest John was
Honest
talking
John
about.
was saying, yeah.
In Bhagavatam class, in the morning classes, we're actually going through the story of Sudama Brahman. So it just kind of made me remember of that, and how all he has is just like this chipped flat rice,
Yeah.
And when he gets there, Krishna's like, "What do you have there?" And he feels so embarrassed because he comes into this palace. He's just completely like opulent, and he's just like, he doesn't want to give it to him. He's just like, it's just this little flat rice.
And his wife had given it to him.
Yeah.
She'd insisted.
Yeah.
Look, you're Krishna's friend. You don't have anything. Give him this and see.
Yeah. So then when Krishna finally takes it and he puts it in his mouth, he becomes like so ecstatic. And if I remember correctly, I think Rukmini and the maidservants are like, "What's going on?" Like he's just like.
He took once, he
Yeah.
took twice, and she grabbed her hand, his
Yeah.
hand. No more.
No more.
He's got everything already, and now we can't give him enough. And now if you take 3 times, we'll have to go to his house and be his maidservant. No thanks.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah, so it just made me think of it, like how you said, just the simplest thing, just given out of so much love. And it wasn't even his, it was like, it was from his neighbor pretty much. He was just trying to get something.
Yeah.
And that made Krishna so happy.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's it. The essence of spiritual life. That's the essence of spiritual life. Pure devotional service. Yes, Prana.
I missed the first reflection, but so this might have already been stated, but I thought it was interesting how Manigriva and Nalakuvara were a theme in their prayers was about the association of Vaishnavas and how they wanted to offer obeisances to the Vaishnavas, especially Narada Muni. And I think Shukadev Goswami also said something or other about that, or maybe it was Krishna. But anyhow, this theme, and then I like that purport where Krishna was thinking, how these 2 demigods are being freed from this bondage, but here I am bound to this grinding mortar because of all the gopis, the elderly gopis' affection for me. And so that was, I thought, a connected point, that how the Vaishnavas are able to bind the Lord with their affection, and thus the importance. And also Narada Muni, his words bound Krishna to actually deliver these 2.
This is a very good point.
And thus the conclusion that the Manigriva and Nalakuvara were coming to was, wow, the Vaishnavas are powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
that's a wonderful point. In other words, if one can if one can please a pure Vaishnava, and the Vaishnava says something, gives a benediction, then Krishna feels obliged to do that. We have, ourselves, we have personal experience, having been born in the West with very little pious activities, and we were all crazy when we were young. And the culture teaching sense gratification to the max, selfishness to the max. And then Prabhupada came, and he told us things that normally you wouldn't be able to understand with our lack of qualification. And in the books it says that you'd have to study for lifetimes and lifetimes and do austerities for lifetimes and lifetimes to actually understand the things that Prabhupada is explaining to us. But just by the simple desire he had, we could understand them right from just by hearing once. And the other thing is that Prabhupada told us that if you chant 16 rounds a day and follow the 4 regular principles strictly for the rest of your life, then you will go back to Godhead in this lifetime, which is inconceivable. And then, but then, whenever I hear this pastime, I remember this, and I remember how Krishna feels obliged to the promise of his very dear devotee. I mean, Prabhupada risked everything, risked his life, his health, everything, just to save us, just to give Krishna to the world. And therefore he's so obliged, Krishna. Priya, he's so dear. So whatever he says, Krishna says, okay, he said it, so I have to do it. So it's Krishna that's doing it. It's not our own potency, it's Krishna that's doing it on the promise of the devotee. So if we take the words of Prabhupada seriously, and carry them out. His promise will be fulfilled by Krishna. Sure. We've seen it happen so many times. God brothers and God sisters who have fallen away for one reason or another because of the powerful material energy or whatever, and gone away and just done anything and everything. At the end of their life, they come back and they get this special, mercy. We've seen it. I could give you so many examples where Prabhupada came and helped them right at the end. And a devotee always is surrounded by loving devotees, chanting the holy name and encouraging them to remember Krishna at the time of death. This is the real opulence, the real benediction of being a devotee. The real gift, the real blessing. And all of us is going to have to go through it. And now I'm going to go. I've got an appointment, and I have to do that and try to get to bed early because I'm traveling tomorrow, and I have to be as healthy strong as possible. Anything from cyberspace today? Okay. I'd like to thank you very much for coming.
Well, thank you for inviting.
It's our pleasure to have you. And we hope you come back again. Yes, we do have something from yesterday. Huh? Oh, we tried to find it. We couldn't find it. But you found it. Okay. This is something from yesterday, from the cyberspace.
This is from Rasa Rasika.
Rasa Rasika.
It says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Today we heard, everything spiritual and material depends on one's mental condition. As we know, with sufficient purification the mind becomes spiritualized. How specifically does the purified mind affect our spiritual reality?
Krishna is sitting in the hearts of everyone as the Paramatma, as the super soul, the Upadrashta. He's the witness and the sanctioner of everything. So when our mind is in the proper place, when our consciousness is in the proper place, he knows it. And therefore he reciprocates and makes the arrangement from within our hearts and outside. If we need others to cooperate with us or need whatever facilities, it's provided by Krishna. And that's determined by our mentality. If our mentality is proper, even if we're inexpert, even if we're neophyte, but if our consciousness is proper, if we're sincere, and we give ourselves to Krishna and try to please Krishna and Krishna's devotees and try to help others. Because if we train our mind to always be thinking of doing good for others, Krishna is very pleased by that. As a matter of fact, in the 12th chapter, at the end of the 12th chapter, it's one of the things that he says pleases him the most. If we're always thinking of how to do good to others, it's very pleasing to Krishna. So everything depends, our spiritual advancement depends on pleasing Krishna and having him reciprocate with us from within the heart. And because he has everything to give, he's the only person that has everything to give. Therefore, even the smallest thing we offer in love, he reciprocates. Hare Krishna. Is that okay? Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll again move on to our next engagement. And I have to get ready too. I have to go tomorrow. So, Hare Krishna. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Shinarda Muni ki jai. Twin Arjun trees ki jai. Nalakuvara and Manigriva ki jai. Madhya Yashoda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. See you on Monday. Wait, I got to get this straight. Tomorrow's Sunday, and we're leaving here at about 4:30. So I won't have the reading tomorrow, but I'm going to be arriving in London at 11:40 in the morning. So hopefully, by the time I get down to Folkestone, we can set up and have our reading on Monday evening, 6 o'clock as usual, UK time, which means 12 o'clock here. So anyway, take your pick. So I'll see you all on Monday at 6 o'clock UK time, Krishna willing. You never know what's going to happen nowadays when you go out there and wander around the world. Thank you, everyone, and Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.